everyone, it's lovely to see you. This is my first time using a different streaming software. So, I need to know if you can hear me, number one. And if you wouldn't mind, I think you need to comment or you need to click on StreamYard so I can see your name if you comment. Today, I've chosen an essay because I'd like to focus on some article errors. Now, the purpose of this feedback isn't to point out somebody's errors. I always choose essays that I think are good, that can benefit students. However, we also need to learn from common errors and common confusions. So that's what we're doing today. And just tell me where you're from and what time it is there. So I chose the best time, I thought, for students in the East, Philippines, India, Australia. Oh, Bengali, that's great. Great. And I can see your name. Thank you so much. And so in the East, so it's 3 p.m. London time. And so for people in the West, like the Americas, hopefully they're awake by now, 10 o'clock, but you can always watch the replay. Now, you just need, anybody who's commenting, you just need to click on StreamYard to let StreamYard show me your name because I can't see your name. So you have to give StreamYard permission. So just click on StreamYard. So today's essay, now let me see. Trying to, first time ever, work with two screens. I'm not very tech savvy. My passion is teaching. Today's essay, and I have to choose the essay before Wednesday so I can decide what I'm going to focus on. But I've had some other, so it's 8:03 in Bangladesh. Okay, so 5 hours different. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. I've had some other really great submissions, and there were two very, very high level submissions today, possibly a little bit too long. You can see them in the group, and they are around a band 7.58. There we go. There's my second screen working. That's wonderful. I just need to put it up here so I'm not turning around. Let me see. That's great. So let me share my screen and we will look at this essay. Share. Chrome tab. Okay. Now you can help me out and let me know what you can see. Can you see the essay? That's the most important thing. This is, and I might make it a little bit bigger for you. Okay, Joy, come on. Come on, second screen. Ah! Oh, so the essay is small. I see the essay is small. That's not good. So we need to make me small and essay big. That's what we need. Yes, that's brilliant. Okay, right. Big essay, me, small me. Okay. The last 2 weeks that we've done feedback, we focused on discuss both views essay. It is one of the most common essay types. Now, the second most common is, where is it? To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this, I did a masterclass on this, and the masterclass is in the guide section. Now, I am slowly taking away some of the training videos in the guide section and improving them and putting them in my academy. So watch them while you can. But I did a really good masterclass on to what extent do you agree or disagree, because it is a very commonly misunderstood question. And students almost always say, on the one hand, and then in the second body paragraph, say, on the other hand, and that is really not how you should answer to what extent do you agree or disagree. And I teach students that, remember that you can answer an IELTS question in any way. I teach that you should fully agree or fully disagree unless you are already band 7. It's much more difficult to do a balanced approach, and it doesn't guarantee you higher points or a better score. Now, I'm saving this person's identity just in case they feel shy, but I will post this document under the training, okay? Now, have a look at this question and think about how you would answer it. Interviews form the basic selection criteria for most large companies. Okay, now when we have a sentence or two sentences before the question word, this is called the premise, and the premise is the topic, if you like. Sometimes there are two premises. There are two pieces of information here. There's only one part that we need to agree with. So, for example, interviews form the basic selection criteria for most large companies. We don't have to agree with that. That is fact. We have to agree with the next part. However, some people think that interviews, I think that's incorrect there, or that an interview is not a reliable method of choosing whom to employ, and there are other better methods. To what extent do you agree or disagree? I would love to see what this student, now I've had a brief read of this essay, but how would you answer this? Now, students get so overwhelmed and stuck with ideas, and I would too. If I had to write an essay on this in my own language, which is English, I would feel really stuck. But if I had to write an essay on this in a different language, I don't know how I would cope. So this is why reading as many essays as you can and collecting ideas is so important. So we're going to see if we can collect ideas from this essay, and it's practice. You simply must continue to practice. Okay, before we start, hi Tayaba. I need to tell you about a student of mine. I'll change her name to Rachel. So Rachel was in the academy. She sat her exam. The first time she got 6.5, but she needed 7. She was so exhausted after the first time she sat the exam. She was sick of IELTS groups, IELTS essays, writing. It's such an exhausting exam. It really batters your confidence. Anyway, she took a break for 4 weeks and she didn't send me any writing for feedback. And then she sent me her first essay. And I looked at it and I said, Rachel, it's a really terrible essay. And she said, I know, Joy, I know. It's because I haven't been practicing. Honestly, she had such capability. I knew she was capable of a 7, but on the day you get nerves, maybe you're tired, maybe the question confuses you, many things can happen. So anyway, she said, I know, but I haven't been practicing. And then again, she started to practice every day. She was doing an essay every day. And, an essay 3 days later, it was 3 times better. It was a band 8. It was just wonderful. So it is practice. You have to practice. You have to stop consuming information and you have to activate the small pieces of information that you learn. You have to activate, because if you consume, it doesn't make any difference. Right. Interviews. Let's start. Let's look at his conclusion. I gave the secret away. This student is a male. It is argued by some people that the most convenient process of selecting candidates is interview, whereas others believe there are better effective method of selecting employees. I completely believe with the statement that recruiters needs to take various ways to select the best person for their office. So there are some good things in this introduction and there are some incorrect things. What do you think? Yeah, ask any questions you like, people. Now I can't see them on the screen. Shoni, can you see it now? Shioni, so everyone, is the screen too small? Do you remember it? I used to do it on Zoom. Was it better previously? Maybe I can make it bigger because I'm using a different platform. Let's see. Shioni, can you see it now? Okay, you can see. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, right. Can everybody just look at this with me? This second part of the thesis, okay? It's the most common confusion to what extent. Some people think that interviews, let's say interviews are not a reliable method of choosing whom to employ, and there are other better methods. Is this one group of people, or is this two groups of people? What do you think? So this first sentence talks about it's not. Some people think that interviews are not a reliable method of choosing whom to employ, and there are other better methods. These some people, they think that interviews are not reliable, and they think that there are other better methods. There is no other group of people. So it's very common. It's a very common confusion into what extent. There is only some people. There is not others. This is actually inaccurate. In the question, it doesn't mention other people. It doesn't. It does mention interviews form the best selection criteria. So when you're writing your introduction for to what extent do you agree or disagree, we don't invent other people. We only say, whereas others believe, in a discuss both views essay. Does that make sense? So I would say here, let's call this student Pedro. Pedro, it is argued by some people that the most convenient process, I would not say convenient, that means easy. I would say effective. The most effective process for selecting candidates, right? It is argued by some, right? So I would change this. I would say it is argued by some people that interviews are not the most effective way of selecting candidates, and there are other better ways. So I'm going to change that, okay? Because it's not discuss both views. So I'm going to change that. So I'm going to use his words. It is argued by some that it is argued by some that interviews are not the most effective selection process for job candidates. And what did he say? There are alternative and there are better alternative methods of recruiting staff. Does everyone follow me? Okay, so it is argued by some people, but it's not others. There's no others. Now, going back to his original introduction, there are two article errors with one rule. Where are the article errors in his original introduction? Anybody? Well, he says for selecting candidates is interview. Interview is it a noun or a verb? Interview is a noun, and it's a countable noun that we can count. 1 interview, 2 interview, 3 interviews, 4 interviews. Method is a noun that we can count. 1 method, 2 methods. When we have a countable noun, countable nouns must have an article or be plural. We can never have a countable noun without an article singular. Does that make sense? So, for example, I love cat. We can't say I love cat. We would have to say I love cats. It must be plural or it must have an article. So, okay, next thing. It is argued by some people that interviews are not the most effective selection process for job candidates, and there are better alternative methods of recruiting staff. I completely believe with. We don't believe with. We agree with. We believe that and we agree with the statement that recruiters, plural, so here's a subject-verb error. I'm going to put here subject-verb error. Need, so we cross that out, to take various way, plural, because various is plural, to select the best person for their office. Okay, so in the introduction, we've just got a couple of errors with articles. We've got singular, countable nouns. They must be plural or they must take an article. And we've got here, we have to have a countable noun. We have to have a plural noun, ways, because various is plural. Any questions so far? So the introduction is good so far. So now we're going to look at the first body paragraph. Now, this student has agreed that there needs to be various ways. So he should support his agreement in both body paragraphs. Okay, so let's have a look at his first body paragraph. It is evident that many large companies used to take interviews to choose employees, which was their principal method. Okay, so what do you think about the grammar tenses in this sentence, this topic sentence? Your first sentence is your topic sentence. They're so important. Well, I used to talks about the past, something you did in the past which you don't do anymore. So it is evident that many large companies, we don't say take interviews, hold, collocation, hold interviews to choose employees. So I would delete this, which is their principal method. So again, the was talks about the past, but we're talking about the present. It is evident that many, why don't you say here, it is evident that the principal method of choosing employees is the interview. But we're going to delete that. Now, it seems to me that this student is talking in one body paragraph about the benefits of interviews and is talking in the second body paragraph about the benefits of other ways. But if you fully agree or disagree, and I would love you to watch the masterclass in the guide section before I take it down, if you fully agree or disagree, you should support your opinion in both paragraphs and not talk about the other side. It is not a discuss both views essay. It is your opinion. So you don't need, this is the most common confusion. You don't need to talk about the other side. So you should really, this is what I would teach. Now, you can, of course, write an essay in many different structures, but I have found the most effective way to get to a band 7, the quickest. Okay, this is what I teach my students. This should be your topic sentence. The first reason I believe that alternative hiring methods are beneficial is that. Okay. So the first reason. So in your first body paragraph, you're talking about the first reason. In your second body paragraph, you're talking about the second reason. You're not talking about on the one hand, on the other hand. It's not discuss both views, okay? So the first reason, that's what I would teach my students. Anyway, but let's look at what he's written. It is evident that many large companies hold interviews to choose employees. To begin with, face-to-face conversation is at best. So article rule number 2. This is article rule number 1. Okay, I told you I would give you 3 article rules today. Article rule number 1. Countable nouns must be countable nouns must have an article or be plural. Okay. That's article rule number 1. Here is article rule number 2. Do you think this sounds good at best? Well, article rule number 2 is always use the with superlatives. And superlatives are words such as best, tallest, strongest. Okay, so that's article rule number 2. So we have to say the best way. That's our article rule number 2. I'm giving you some great stuff here. Is the best way to measure a person's, so we want possessive here, quality and his personality. Now, what is the thing about academic writing? The thing is, we shouldn't write his or her or he or she. We should always keep it in the third person there. It's not plural, but it's the third person for academic writing. All right, good. So companies tend to apply this more often to evaluate their aspirants. Besides, now I recommend not using besides in academic writing. I would say moreover here. Moreover, it is very hard to compare intelligence and smartness. We wouldn't say smartness, intelligence. Let's say, let me give you this great word, competence, which kind of means confidence and skill. Competence between candidates without having direct conversation. For example, many national company. What's the article rule here? You tell me how we can fix this. Is it article rule 1 or article rule 2? Many multinational. Thank you, Mitu. Competence, yes. It's 1. So what should I change it to, Sylvia? Many multinational. Very good. Excellent. Companies, well done. Excellent. That's great. When they hire employees. So I wouldn't say many multinational companies when they hire employees. I would say when. I would put the when here. When many multinational companies, delete the comma here, hire employees. Okay, help me with the next word. It's incorrect. Interview. How do I fix it to make it correct? There's a bit of a delay. Well, well done, Mitu. You do need an article, or what's the alternative? Yes, we could say an interview, or we could say interviews, plural, because we're talking about companies, plural. Interviews they usually hold more than one or two interviews. Interviews are a must. Because they believe it is the oldest and most convenient method of choosing. Article rule here. What do we do? What do we do here? The most convenient method of choosing. Conducting. Thank you, Mitu. Conducting interviews. Yes. I need the second screen closer so I'm not looking away. The best. Thanks, Patty. Yes. Okay. So my main feedback for my comments for this is that, let's go up to the question. Interviews form the basic selection criteria for most large companies. So actually, let's call him Pedro. There are two premises in this question. So he spent the first paragraph answering the first premise. There are two ways to do this. He's written about forming the selection criteria, but I would probably still encourage him to write two body paragraphs about why other methods are better. Anyway, so he did well, but there were two article errors throughout the paragraph. Okay, now let's have a look. On the other hand, it is undeniable that the application of various method while employing aspirates have been increasing rapidly due to enormous competition to become best. Right, everybody, your answer. What are the two article errors in this sentence and how do we fix them? And then I would just love to ask you, is this useful for you to have feedback every week? Or should I do 1 week feedback and should I do 1 week training or learning lessons that would help us? Or do you think feedback is effective enough? Because that would help me. Priyanka, very good. So, but there was one before that, the best, yeah? So well done, you guys. But there was one before that in the sentence, and it's about Article Rule 1. It's actually more about a rule about singular or plural, not so much article. Try and find in this sentence a countable noun, which is singular. Feedback every week. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, my dear. Okay, good. Okay, on the other hand, it is undeniable that the application of various methods, we have to say methods because it's plural, okay, have been increasing rapidly due to enormous competition to become the best. Well, it's not about whether it's not about whether it's been increasing rapidly. It's about why do you believe it should happen. So I would write the topic sentence differently here. I would say Nevertheless, I love this word. I believe that other methods are necessary. Okay, I always keep, and I teach my students to keep the topic sentences short, because to get a 7 and above, you need logical progression. So every sentence should have lots of meaning and connect directly to the previous sentence. You shouldn't have too many ideas per sentence. Okay. Nevertheless, I believe that, because this is, to what extent do you agree or disagree? This isn't, it's been rapidly increasing. It's about, do you agree or disagree? And then I would say, this is because. That's what I would say there. Okay, never mind. Let's have a look. On the other hand, it is undeniable that the application of various methods while employing, it's too long, this topic sentence, three lines, have been increasing rapidly due to enormous competition. Firstly, companies are trying to get more revenue and become the best. So we're using this best a lot. You could use the leader. You could use the pioneer. Therefore, they trying to get most smartest person in their company, so they are applying other method to choose employee. Right. You are telling me what is happening. You are telling me facts. You are not telling me why you think other methods are better. Okay, so you're just telling me facts. You're telling me what companies do. You're not telling me your opinion. And also, so they are trying to get the most, not smartest, we can't say most smartest, the most intelligent, or the most, any synonyms for intelligent, anybody? Let's just say clever, person in their company. So I do not see your opinion here. You're just telling me what's happening. In addition, nowadays, that's one word. Again, company. So it's a countable noun, so it needs to be plural or it needs a, okay? Nowadays, companies seeks. We don't seek for, we simply seek. Job experience, social activities, and extracurricular work. That's the word we want. I will actually keep your original there. Not extracurriculum, extracurricular work. So this needs to be really at the beginning before conducting an interview, not taking interview, before conducting an interview. I'm going to give you a band score at the end of this. Before conducting an interview. For instance, Apple Company, no, we don't call it Apple Company, we just call it Apple, capital A. For instance, Apple, which is the largest tech company in the world, and then we want another comma here because it's a non-defining relative clause, have issued a policy for employing job seekers. They have to go through some selection process to get job in this company. Okay, what's the article problem here? To get a job. Okay. To conclude, although there are many other ways to employ candidates, but the importance of interview is not avoidable. So that's not a good conclusion. You need to summarize the ideas in the body paragraph 1. Let's look at body paragraph 1. What can we say? To begin with, face-to-face conversation is the best way to measure a person's quality Now that's strange. I didn't actually notice this. So Pedro has said the best way to measure, he said it's the best way, but he agrees with the other way. So that's a little bit, yeah, I'm going to show you now, Priyanka. So about how to write a conclusion without repeating ideas. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching live and you've made comments, I'm really sorry not to answer them, but I'll answer them straight after. So how can we, so to conclude, face-to-face interviews are an effective, are useful, are a good, any synonyms for effective? Face-to-face interviews are I think we can say face-to-face interviews have long been used as effective as an effective measure of job candidates. Have long face-to-face interviews have long been used as an effective measure of job candidate suitability. However, now he's made a complex sentence error. He's used although and he's used but. And we cannot use these. Now, I've got some training in the guide section. I'm going to be taking it down at the end of next week. And if you look at all the grammar videos, the grammar boot camp, there's some really, really fantastic training in there. I'm taking it down so that I can improve it a little bit and put it in the academy. And I will just be doing feedback in this group. So, suitability. However, I believe that other ways are more applicable in the current job market. This is because. So he needs to, in the conclusion, we mustn't say, to conclude, some people believe this, but I believe this. We mustn't say some people believe this. You have to actually say what they believe or say what the point is. So when you're writing your essay, you should go back. Look at your body paragraph 1. What's your idea? Take your idea and try to write it in different words. So face-to-face interviews have long been used as an effective measure of job candidate suitability. However, I believe that other ways are more applicable in the current job market. This is because. You have to say why you believe that. Okay, how are we doing? Right. Would you like to know what score I'm going to give him? Or you can say therefore. Well, I would say, me too, I would say this is because I haven't explained my reason. So you can say therefore, but if you haven't explained, if you only said I believe, you should explain it. You should say this is because. So I'm going to get the IELTS marking criteria, writing, and let's see. We can have a look at what. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to You think it's 5.5? Mohammed. I need to, now just bear with me. You're so patient and thank you very much. I need to share a different screen. I'd like to show you. So share, so stop. So they're just my face. And then share again. And then share screen. And then Chrome tab. And it's going to be this one. Okay. Can you see this? Sharing this tab. Okay, you should be able to see this. Okay, I'll make it bigger. Now, for me, Pedro didn't answer why he believes other methods are better. He just told me what companies were doing. He said, anyway, lots of companies do this and lots of companies do this, but he did not say, I believe, oh, I've lost my screen. He did not say, I believe that other methods are better because he just told me what they were doing. So for me, this is task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy. All right. So 5 here addresses the task only partially. The format may be inappropriate in places. He expresses a position, but the development is not always clear. So that's, for me, he got a 5 in task response because he expressed a position, which was, I agree, but he didn't develop it. Then coherence and cohesion presents information with some organization, but there is a lack of overall progression. I would actually give him higher points in coherence and cohesion. I would give him a 6 in coherence and cohesion. Arranges information and ideas coherently. Uses paragraphing, but not logically. I'd give him a 6 for coherence and cohesion. I'd give him a 5 for task achievement. Lexical resource. I might give him a... might give him a 6 for lexical resource, and I'd give him a 5 for grammatical range and accuracy, because there were lots of errors with the present continuous, with articles, with singulars and plurals. So let me just show you his essay one more time. This is my new streaming software, StreamYard. Chrome tab. So I've completely rewritten his conclusion. Who can tell me, before we go, I would give this a 5.5. I'd give it a 5.5. Who can tell me, before we go, the 2 article rules that we've done today? Oh, I'm big. I should have made myself small. Hey, Anita, it's lovely to see you. So, Mohammed, Ima, if I can't correctly paraphrase the essay topic, I don't know how many bands you would lose if you can't correctly paraphrase. You don't need to just change every word for synonyms. You really just need to write the idea in your own words. That's what you need to do. Okay, article rules from today. Who can remember them? And I'm very, very looking forward to seeing you next week. I have been reflecting and thinking about my past 10 years as an IELTS teacher and the lessons I've learned about struggles that students have. It's not going to be so much teaching you sentences or grammar, but I'm going to teach you more about the principles and the beliefs that will help you get a band 7. So it's the first time I've done a training like this, and I'm really, really hoping that you can join me on it, because I have been with students through the most heartbreaking situations when they didn't get their score and they're stuck in a country they don't want to be in, or they can't get their wife a visa, and it's just utterly heartbreaking. So I've put together all of the things I've learned about your mindset, about your beliefs, about your strategies, and I'm going to give this to you next week. Hope you can join me. Right. Rules. Mitu. Countable noun must be with an article or in the plural form. High five, Mitu. Very good. Superlatives must take the. Okay. It's absolutely wonderful to see everyone. I'm going to attach this document to this training, to this video. And Priyanka, thank you for letting me know that you think that feedback is the most beneficial. So I'll just keep my lessons for the academy. See you next week in the training. Let me know how you're doing in your journey altogether, and I'm rooting for you, which means I'm supporting you all the time. I think you're doing great, and take care. Bye.